Japan stands as a beacon of technological prowess and economic might. It is a nation that has long been synonymous with innovation and efficiency. Yet beneath this veneer of prosperity lies a complex economic reality.
For decades, Japan has grappled with sluggish economic growth and deflationary pressures. The once unthinkable prospect of rising prices has now become a stark reality. Inflation erodes consumer purchasing power, casting a shadow over household budgets and business confidence.
Inflation, a once rare phenomenon in Japan, has re-emerged as a worrying trend, driven by a confluence of factors including soaring energy prices and supply chain disruptions. The rising cost of goods and services is putting a strain on businesses and consumers alike.
The Bank of Japan, tasked with maintaining price stability, faces the difficult challenge of reining in inflation without derailing economic recovery. Adding to the complexity of Japan's economic woes is the issue of wage stagnation. Despite a tight labor market, wages have remained stubbornly low, failing to keep pace with the rising cost of living.
This disparity between income and expenses has eroded consumer purchasing power, creating a drag on domestic demand. The Japanese yen, once a symbol of economic strength, has weakened significantly against major currencies. This depreciation, while making Japanese exports more competitive, has also pushed up the cost of imported goods, further fueling inflation. The falling yen reflects growing concerns about Japan's economic outlook and the effectiveness of its monetary policy. The interconnected nature of the global economy means that Japan is not immune to external shocks. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine, for instance, has sent shockwaves through global energy markets, driving up energy prices and disrupting supply chains.
Japan, heavily reliant on energy imports, has been particularly vulnerable to these disruptions. The war in Ukraine has also highlighted Japan's dependence on key commodities and raw materials sourced from volatile regions.
Supply chain disruptions and geopolitical uncertainty have added to Japan's economic woes, underscoring the need for greater economic resilience and diversification. Beyond the immediate impacts of the Ukraine crisis, Japan faces broader challenges stemming from slowing global growth and geopolitical tensions. These headwinds threaten to dampen external demand for Japanese goods and services, potentially undermining the country's export-oriented economy. Japan's economic challenges are compounded by its unique demographic profile. The country has one of the oldest populations in the world, with a shrinking workforce and a growing number of retirees.
This demographic imbalance has profound implications for economic growth, social welfare, and the long-term sustainability of Japan's economic model. An aging population leads to a decline in consumer spending, as retirees typically spend less than younger generations.
This decline in domestic demand can create a vicious cycle of low growth, deflation, and further economic stagnation. Japan's high savings rate, traditionally seen as a sign of economic prudence, has also contributed to the problem of weak domestic demand. While savings can provide a buffer during economic downturns, excessive saving can also act as a drag on growth by reducing consumer spending and investment. The Japanese government has implemented a range of policies aimed at addressing the country's economic challenges. These measures include fiscal stimulus packages, monetary easing, and structural reforms designed to boost productivity and innovation.
However, the effectiveness of these policies remains a subject of debate. One of the most significant policy shifts has been the Bank of Japan's move away from its long-standing policy of negative interest rates.
This move, aimed at combating inflation, has been met with mixed reactions. While higher interest rates can help to curb inflation, they can also slow economic growth and increase borrowing costs for businesses and consumers. The success of Japan's economic policies will depend on a number of factors, including the global economic environment, the pace of structural reforms, and the government's ability to address the country's demographic challenges. Navigating these complex and interconnected issues will require careful planning, decisive action, and a willingness to adapt to changing circumstances. Beyond the abstract realm of economic indicators and policy debates lies the very real human cost of Japan's economic woes. For ordinary citizens, the confluence of rising prices, stagnant wages, and economic uncertainty has translated into a decline in living standards and a sense of unease about the future. The social contract that once promised lifetime employment and rising living standards is under strain. The economic anxieties facing Japan are not merely a matter of statistics and graphs, they are a reflection of the lived experiences of millions of people. Addressing these challenges is not just an economic imperative, it is a moral obligation to ensure that all citizens have the opportunity to share in the nation's prosperity. Families are feeling the pinch of higher grocery bills and utility costs, forcing them to make difficult choices about their spending. Young people entering the workforce face a challenging job market with limited opportunities for advancement.